which it was beyond my knowledge. I don't even know why she would do that. Anyways, they hit her with like a Class C narcotic or something like that. But because it was a prescription, but she didn't have them in the bottle they were supposed to be. So she got charged with like 3 charges that night. So she went to jail at Payette County. Sorry, I'm gonna turn the heater on. It's cold. And then I did not get arrested until about a month later. So it was less than a month. It was probably 16 days later. They came and hit me. I got pulled over because I got a phone call that morning. I didn't get pulled over, sorry. I got a phone call that morning from Fruitland Police Department saying, hey, you can, your phones are able to be picked up, because they had confiscated all of our phones.
Wait, they what? They confiscated all of their phones.
How many phones do you guys think that they took?
And why? Why would they need to take them for an assault and battery situation?
Exactly. They wouldn't.
What did they find when they had the phones?
He didn't state when they took the phones. He just said they called when time to give them back. They would not take your phone for an assault charge, especially everybody's phones in the house.
Right. He said all of our phones.
And I actually received some information that there were 2 other people in that house. Let me look at my dates here. There were 2 other people that were living in that house at the exact same time. And one of them was a female arrested at the Wondra house 2 days after Stacey was arrested. And that hasn't even been put out.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Stacey been lying.
Ruh-roh. Okay, I'm going to finish playing this out here, but chew on those words for a few.
So they were like, your phones are good to be picked up. You can come and get them. When can you pick them up? I was like, well, I'm in town all day. I'll pick them up at 9 o'clock tonight, which you can, your phones are able to be picked up, because they had confiscated all of our phones. So they were like, your phones are good to be picked up. You can come and get them. When can you pick them up? I was like, well, I'm in town all day. I'll pick them up at 9 o'clock tonight, which was May 6th of 2022, 2020, April, May, yeah, 2022. So I went down to the police station in Fruitland, called dispatch because it was 9 o'clock at night, called dispatch, told them that I was there to pick up my phones. Law enforcement met me outside, and then I had my dog with me at the time, the one that you guys have pictures of. I then was told to get out of the car and asked to show my ID for verification. It was like a setup, and they arrested me for felon in possession of a firearm. So Sarah had narked on me for having a gun before she got arrested. And then
okay, and right there he said Sarah narked on me for having the gun before she got arrested. I don't know why that stood out to me, but it did. Before she got arrested. So if somebody can help me understand why that part stood out to me so much, I would be greatly appreciative.
They ran my name in the system, found out that I was a previous felon, and then they're like, you weren't supposed to have a gun. Well, I didn't even have the gun in the presence of the cops. Sarah told them that I went and sold the gun to a gunsmith in New Plymouth, which I did because we needed the money. So I sold the gun to the gunsmith for $475, and came back home. That was April 12th that I sold it, 2022. So the next day, Sarah gets arrested, tells on me for selling the gun to the gunsmith. The same day she assaulted Tanner, and she gets arrested. I get arrested on May 6th, which was a Friday, at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. And that's when my journey began in jail.
Well, some people say that Tanner is the one that snitched on you, not Sarah.
No, Sarah snitched on me. Tanner confirmed it. So Tanner was like her, what do you word it? Like her backup information person, I guess. I don't know what the word is. But he confirmed everything that Sarah said. And so, yeah, so it was Sarah that started the snitching. They're throwing me under the bus. And then Tanner, they asked Tanner about it, and Tanner confirmed it.
And that's the end of that clip. So yeah. I want to run through the dates real quick, because I know a lot of people are confused because the way he talks in circles. So
yeah, Brandon's worse than him.
Right? That was difficult. Okay, so April 12th is when he sold the gun of 2022. April 13th is the day that Sarah got into the fight with Tanner, and then she got arrested. They took their phones. We don't know exactly when, but then she was still in jail on May 6th, 2022. And law enforcement called Stacey and said that he could pick their phones up. So he went up there around 9 p.m. on May 6th, 2022. And he said it was a setup, and they made sure that it was him. And then they arrested him for selling the gun because he is a felon and he is not allowed to have possession of a firearm. So does
And
that.
then he says he was questioned about Michael Vaughn and pick it up from there. As far as I'm going to share this photo. So I'm just so curious, like if go this way, if she's just so awful and snitching on him, why is he still talking to her in jail right now? This is
Right.
a screen recording off of his phone that he sent to me. This was February 4th. He had a video chat with her. You can see him right here down in the corner. And her. He's been telling all these creators, oh, she calls me constantly. I don't want to have anything to do with her. But he's video chatting with her.
Still, just as of a few days ago. And yes, who asked that? Jen R. Yes, the very first contact that they had with law enforcement was when Sarah pulled the gun on Tanner, which was April 13th, 2022.
The day of their anniversary, which always, the only part of that originally stuck out to me was why did Sarah wig out on Tanner? Because, you know, Stacey said Tanner was wanting to cook and it was their anniversary and he was wanting to cook them something. And Sarah wigged out on him, attacked him with a bone, did all this just ridiculous stuff. And I was like, well, why? Why? She wouldn't have to cook. What's the big deal? Well, I believe it had to do with that grill.
Right, because they wanted to grill an anniversary dinner for them.
Yes. And there's something about that grill. Maybe he was going to move it or open it or something, right? And she had to pick a fight. She had to do something. That's when she flipped out on him to prevent him from going near that grill.
To the point of pulling a gun on him. I mean, like,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
extreme. Like, I can understand maybe, no, I want to cook dinner. You know, it's our anniversary. I want to cook dinner for my husband. You know, I could see something like that. But you're going to beat the man with a dog bone and then pull a gun on him? Like, what? We think law enforcement got on their tail because Sarah got into a fight with Tanner and they confiscate all of their phones. What did they find on their phones? Was it the picture of Monkey? Was it the picture of Tina's house, Brandon's mom's? Was it the screenshot of that spot where they allegedly stopped when they were doing the tow on July 27th, 2021 from Kuna back to Fruitland? Those three pictures were all together in his camera roll. So did law enforcement come across that plus other stuff? Did they find text information in the phone? Or in the phones, you know, like what else did they come across? But we believe that is where law enforcement connected the Wondras and their roommates to Monkey's case, allegedly. In our opinion, that's that golden egg. What do you guys think?
And I was really curious. Okay, so this is July 31st. He saved this picture of Monkey, and then he took a photo of the missing poster. Then there's this screenshot, right, of where they stopped, allegedly, and a photo of Brandon's mom's house. So by July 31st, what do you think they were doing? Getting their story straight, right? Why else would he have a screenshot of where they claim they pulled over that night? Or where Stacey claims that they pulled over that night, with Sarah pulling the car, and a screenshot of directions to Brandon's home. I think they were getting their story straight right here. And I think law enforcement probably saw that on his phone and wondered, okay, what is going on here? Because this is really, really weird.
Justin said, yes. Boom. Boom.
Exactly.
It hit me. Like, I was watching Brooks the other day and I was like, I just dropped my son off at school and just something clicked. And I was like, that's how they got on their tail. I remember him saying that law enforcement took their phones. And so I had to go back and find where he said it and why they took the phones when they did it. And that makes so much sense, especially now that Crime Sleuth has this screen recording from Stacey showing what was on his phone. Like, hello, boom. Oh my gosh.
Now, can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
Do you have any opinion why Sarah said you were involved?
Not at all. I know for a fact I wasn't even home. At the time frame that this little boy went missing, I wasn't home throughout the day. And then there was nothing odd going on at our house even when I got home that night. So it makes no sense, not one piece of it. I know for a fact it wasn't me. So I don't know where she's getting her little ridiculous pieces of information, but they've got the wrong person. I wasn't even home. And like I also told you this morning, Brooks, and I'll let everybody know on here, 3 people on May 19th of 2022 got polygraph tests on behalf of Michael Vaughn. That was Sarah, Brandon, and me. Out of the 3 people that got tested, I was the only one to pass the polygraph test. Sarah and Brandon had failed it. So I just want to put that out there for everybody, just so you guys have it. So, I don't know. I'm appalled. I'm very appalled. Like I told you this morning as well, you know, I want justice for this little boy. I want this little boy to come back home to his mother and father. It tears me up inside. I hurt badly because I want this little boy to be with his family. I would kill somebody if that happened to my kid.
Did law enforcement ever ask you where Michael is buried?
Yeah, and I told them I don't have any idea. They asked me about our backyard, and I said that's not even possible. There's no trench marks. There's no dig marks. There's absolutely no. There's nothing. There's not even. I mean, there's nothing at all in our backyard. Even by the shed that people are questioning about, that shed was there on our property since we moved there. That house belonged to Sarah's mom and dad, and we were there since June of 2020.
Stacey thinks he is just so super smart. I'm showing this video from Tightwad DIY channel because this guy is showing us how you can fill a spot in your yard where the ground is low without disturbing your grass. So you can dig a hole the same way. You can dig a hole and bury anything and not be able to tell 2 months later. He's going to show you. He cuts the sod. I know you can buy rolls of sod for your yard, which is just the grass with a little bit of dirt hooked to it. So it's already rooted grass. You bury whatever you want, then you put the dirt back, pat it down, and put the sod back on top and water it. And then voila, you can't see your spot. That would be an anomaly. That would be what law enforcement said that they found in the Wondra's backyard when they excavated the entire yard in November of 2022 after the tip from Stacey led them there.
This is the spot that I repaired by lifting it and putting the topsoil in after about 2 months. So you can barely even tell where the spot was, and I can probably only tell because I knew exactly where it happened.
Officials said Sarah Wondra maintained that she, quote, definitely did not kill that boy, end quote. That's her quote, not mine. And said, quote, the Most High God already told me who did it, end quote. She reportedly told police, quote, oh, wow, the Most High God just told me that Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him in the backyard, end quote, the neighbor's house. When she asked later to show police where the boy was buried, according to the affidavit, she told police of a spot near the entry of the residence and said Stacey had buried him in the backyard, quote, in the backyard of the shed, end quote. Police said at that point they began to digging a portion of the Wondra's yard based upon information, quote, received from Stacey, who had not yet been arrested or charged by Monday afternoon. It wasn't clear when or why police had spoken with Stacey Wondra. Do you know why she would say something like that?
I'm appalled. I have no clue. She's literally like gone cuckoo. I'm a very high believer in God, and I believe in God strongly. And God wouldn't tell a lie. You know what I mean? God is very,
Well, God may not tell a lie, but humans will. Let me ask you this question. Really. Have you told investigators anything that you haven't told the public? And if so, why? So your story that you're telling everybody is the exact same that you have told in the interrogations?
Exactly.
And to stop an interrogation, what you did, you said that Michael was in the yard. How does that, did that stop an interrogation? Did that actually stop it?
I haven't been interrogated since. Yeah, I haven't heard from law enforcement. I haven't talked to law enforcement. I haven't even heard a peep from anybody.
So they dug up that entire yard, as we all saw. We watched them do it, based on just you saying that he was buried in the yard to stop it.
Correct.
So you tricked law enforcement into doing that?
I guess if you want to put it that way, yes.
Well, I mean, that's against the law, right?
I mean, do you think
so? Very well, you could and probably should be charged with that. But I'm not here to like trip you up or hang you or be mean to you or anything. But how is it that you can trick dogs into hitting on human decomp? You can't do that. You can trick the police, but you're not tricking dogs.
No, not at all. But
the dogs did hit, correct?
Apparently, that's what
there were supposed to be multiple dogs.
So you told them that Michael was buried in the yard, and then, which you say is a lie, but then dogs hit on human decomp in that yard.
They hit before I told them that. That's why they questioned me.
So they hit before?
Correct.
So
But to prove my point that there was nothing back there, that's why I had them go dig it up. I knew there was nothing back there. I simply was very much so under pressure. I was being interrogated to the point of tears. I mean, for hours a day, for like 3 or 4 days. And honestly, I could not take it. It was killing me.
But I thought you said you gave them the tip.
I did give them the tip after they interrogated me.
If the dogs would have hit earlier, they would have just dug it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to understand.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so obviously,
I mean, they wouldn't know to search your house if they hadn't if you hadn't given them the tip.
That's what I'm saying. I told them.
You told them, and then the dogs hit, correct?
No.
Because the dog, if they hit on
dogs hit before, that's at least what I'm being told. That's what law enforcement told me. That's what detective.
They would dig it up though. They would have dug it up if dogs would have hit. They dug it up because you said Michael was buried in the yard.
Correct.
Okay, but
Then
how
they bring the dogs out there to confirm that, hey, there is human there is they're hitting out here. So then they dig it up.
All I know is I told them that fable. That's what I told them. I don't know anything further than that.
And you can
I know
see
that
how
they
that's
said
going to be
the
hard
dog-
for people to understand.
I do, absolutely.
But I mean, that's a lot to tell. I mean, to get an interrogation to stop, all you would need to do is say, hey, I want to talk to my lawyer.
And I did that. My lawyer was present with me.
Because you said on another show that you were tired of being interrogated, that your attorney was there, and so you lied about where Michael's remains were.
I lied before I met with my attorney.
Well, I mean, what attorney would let anyone? And like
again, my attorney was not present. Listen to my words.
Okay.
And I did that. My lawyer was present with me. There was no dig holes. My dog Oakley, it was a digger, but she dug right when you walked out the front patio where the dead spot is, where the barbecue was.
Mm-hmm. Now,
it was dead because the barbecue. We had 2 barbecues at the time, and one was sitting on the grass.
One of the things, when you offered a deal, like a cooperation deal,
they offered this before they dug the yard, and they said that they would give me a 15 plus 7, but in the condition that I would tell them where the body is. And I said, I don't know where the body is.
Currently, or you did in the past?
I have never known where the body is.
Right, and you're right. But the problem is, what you told them is what they have evidence that there was someone in the backyard.
Okay, but they did not specify where the dogs hit. They said they hit in the backyard. I told them where he was buried, which was directly across. When you walk out the back patio door, it was directly straight across, right in the middle of the fence, in the middle of the yard. They didn't specify where he was hit. They said that they dug by the shed, and that the dogs had hit around the shed area. That's what I've been told. I know, and if you read their report, or you probably can pull it up, she literally, I don't know if it's accessible or not, but I know for a fact that when I gave them that location, I watched it on video when they were digging at that spot. Detective was on the phone with me.
Mm-hmm.
They dug nothing up. The dogs did not hit in that spot. I watched them.
Mm-hmm.
But you said that he was in the yard.
I said he was in that direct spot, but he was never there. Clearly,
well, he was in that yard somewhere at one point.
Somewhere, probably. I don't know. I don't have knowledge of it.
Well,
like
you didn't pull that out of thin air. Maybe
Yes,
Adrian told you. Maybe Sarah told you. Maybe Brandon told you.
But this is exactly why it's hard for me to do these lies, because people are gonna try to judge me and say that I literally didn't. I had something to do with it.
I'm going to try my best to wrap this into a nice little bow now. I started this video out with the clip from Crime Sleuthin's Live, where I was a guest co-host, and we shared this part of this huge puzzle that I feel like I was able to piece together. This is the scenario that I picture happening. I believe when Sarah Wondra got arrested on April 13th, 2022, for the assault and battery situation with Tanner, that she slipped up and let something out about Michael Joseph Vaughan, also known as Monkey. I'm guessing law enforcement saw how nervous Sarah was acting during the interrogation and knew that she was hiding something, so they probably used reverse psychology on her. They probably told her if she snitched on Stacey Wondra that she'd get a good reference from them to the DA, saying how helpful she was and she cooperated. Sarah doesn't want to sit in prison, so I think she started snitching. She probably started out with Stacey selling his gun because that wouldn't be on her hands. Law enforcement took that and checked it out, finding out that it was true. This next part, I think there could be an either-or situation. One possibility is Sarah stopped there and law enforcement asked if they could download data and pictures from her phone as evidence in her assault and battery case, because maybe she said that she was in fear of Tanner because of threats that he had made. Or maybe they asked for the phones to verify the gun story, because we know that Stacey had pictures of that AR and a scope on his phone. Or maybe Sarah snitched on Stacey for hurting Monkey, like she said later in November. So one way or another, law enforcement gets Stacey's and Sarah's phones. I believe while they had the phones, they found the collection of pictures that you saw on Stacey's camera reel, plus who knows what else. All of the information from their phones gave law enforcement enough evidence to get polygraphs done on May 19th, 2022 for Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, and Brandon Shirtliff. It probably made it easier that Stacey was in jail facing the felony gun charges. I believe when law enforcement got their phones, they found the evidence that made Stacey, Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian the 4 main suspects in Monkey's case. Law enforcement allegedly used the evidence from the phones and whatever else that Sarah told them and worked Monkey's case from May to November of 2022. Now, during this time frame, Sarah was released on her assault and battery case in July, but Stacey was still incarcerated on his gun case. I believe Sarah knew law enforcement was looking at them hard, and she knew that Monkey was buried in their backyard. So while she was out of jail between July and the end of October 2022, I believe she asked Brandon Shirtliff to help her move Monkey. I believe Stacey was the weak link, the bad liar, the weak one. So Sarah and Brandon didn't tell him that they were moving Monkey. I believe by November, law enforcement had used all of the leads that they had, and they knew that they had good evidence to prove that Sarah, Stacey, Brandon, and Adrian all had something to do with Monkey's abduction, but they needed a confession and they want to locate Monkey. So they decided to go take a harder approach with Stacey since he was still in jail. Stacey told us that he was interrogated that first part of November of 2022, and he cracked under pressure and told law enforcement that Monkey was buried in his backyard. He told them this after they offered him the deal to serve 15 plus 7. We all heard Stacey claim that he lied about Monkey being in their backyard, but every human remains dog that law enforcement had out there in that backyard hit on human remains. And that was after Stacey had told them to search the yard. That means that Stacey was most likely trying to make that deal that law enforcement offered, and he's lying on all of his YouTube interviews. When law enforcement went to search the backyard, they arrested Sarah for not telling them about Monkey in the yard. The part Stacey wasn't expecting was law enforcement told him that Monkey was not in his backyard. The jail even allowed Stacey to video chat with law enforcement while they were in his backyard. We heard that. I played that clip in this video. So there went that deal. That was a huge hit for law enforcement, I'm sure, since not only did they not find Monkey, but they had to drop the charges on Sarah too. Even though Sarah rambled to law enforcement about the Most High God telling her that Stacey killed Monkey and buried him in their yard, but she also blamed Adrian Lucien and said Monkey was buried in the neighbor's yard too. So if my theory is right, and Sarah and Brandon moved Monkey while she was out of jail in between July and the end of October of 2022, Stacey probably doesn't know where Monkey is today. Now, before I end this video, I want to run through my whole theory from the beginning super fast. Now, this is a trigger warning, and I'm going to catch you up to where I started this section of this video. So, trigger warning, okay? Trigger warning. I believe that Stacey, Sarah, and Brandon were driving down 8th Street by Monkey's and saw him outside alone on Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, between 6:45 p.m. and 7 p.m. I believe that they grabbed Monkey and they left the neighborhood. I believe that something horrific happened to Monkey between Fruitland and Kuna, and he was placed in Brandon's duffel bag. I believe they went to Kuna, to Tina's, Brandon's mom's house. I believe they all went through the gate on the right side of the house. I believe the duffel bag was set on the side of the house outside. I believe that Brandon had to change his clothes, and he put his dirty clothes in the duffel bag with Monkey. I believe the Three Stooges left Kuna without that duffel bag because they knew that Tina wouldn't be home because she was on a trip in Arizona. I believe that they did tow Brandon's Mercedes-Benz back to Fruitland. I believe they got home between 10:45 and 11:15 p.m. And Stacey stayed home because he is the bad liar, the weak link. And Sarah and Brandon told him to stay home. Sarah and Brandon played the part of the concerned neighbors and inserted themselves into the case by helping search for the innocent, sweet little boy that they had just left in Kuna. I believe before Tina got home from Arizona, but after the main ground searches had spread out in Fruitland, the Three Stooges brought Monkey back to Fruitland to their house and buried that duffel bag in their own backyard, where the bag stayed until sometime between July and the end of October of 2022, when Brandon and Sarah moved the bag for the last time. Whew, okay, I'm done with my theory for now. That was based from the facts that I've learned from law enforcement, the interview tour from Stacey Wondra, the horrid interview from Brandon Shirtliff, and using my connection with spirit. The end of my theory is where the timeline continues that I shared earlier in this video, and I hope that this helps make better sense now. I'll probably make one more video going from July 27th, 2021 to today in chronological order. If you'd like that, leave me a comment and let me know, and maybe I'll do it live instead. You tell me what you prefer. I want to thank you so much for watching this video until the end, and I would like for you to leave me a comment and use my hashtag. Just like you see on the screen right here, use the hashtag SSSquad so that I know that you made it all the way to the end of this video. And include in your comment if you would like a full timeline theory in video form or in live stream, and let me know what you think about all these puzzle pieces that I have pieced together in this video. I hope that you have the kind of day that karma feels you've earned. Till next time, I love you bunches.